Hello YouTube viewers, Silvertardis here with another Doctor Who episode review. And I know what you're going to say, where are my reviews of Hyde and Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS? Well, the last fortnight has been pretty busy for me. I've had quite a bit of college work to get through. Deadline for my coursework is in 2 weeks, so I've been pretty caught up in work. But don't worry, I will be making reviews of Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS and Hyde later on in the year, after my exams are over. But I've just about found enough free time to review the most recent episode of Doctor Who Series 7 Part 2, The Crimson Horror by Mark Gatiss. But if you want a review of Hyde and Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait a few months. But in the meantime, what do I have to say on the 100th episode of Doctor Who since the series came back in 2005? Well, since this is the 100th episode since the show's revival, I thought they were going to make it pretty spectacular. I wasn't sure, but then I heard Mark Gatiss was going to be writing it, and I thought, that's the man for the job. And as you know, he's already written Cold War this series, which was amazing. So I was looking forward to seeing how well he would do this Northern Victorian adventure, because his first story of Doctor Who in Series 1, The Unquiet Dead, that was a Victorian story, and that played out really well. I like the way this episode started, because we don't see the Doctor up until the 15-minute mark, and until that point, most of the focus is on the Paternoster gang, aka Strax, Vastra, and Jenny. And when I heard Mark Gatiss was going to be writing for them, I thought, this should be interesting, because in the last few months, Stephen Moffat hasn't been at his best. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. And with the Paternoster gang, they were all fantastic in A Good Man Goes to War, but in the Snowmen, they didn't really reach the same heights, so I was curious as to how Mark Gatiss was going to write for them, and I think he wrote for them really well. For the most part, we didn't get any innuendos from Vastra or Jenny for a change, so I'm glad we're putting that to one side. First of all, let's talk about Dan Starkey as Strax. He's very good in the role, as usual. In fact, I think he's the best Sontaran actor since Kevin Lindsay in The Time Warrior and The Sontaran Experiment. So, acting-wise, he's very good. Dialogue-wise, you may remember in The Snowmen, some of his jokes worked, but others were just, no, they just fell flat on their face. And it's the same here. Some jokes, like when he gets angry at the horse and goes, "You have failed in your mission!" Yes, that was funny, but like the bits where he's suggesting, let's use this weapon or let's use that weapon, is he even suggesting proper weapons anymore? I mean, scissor grenades? What's he been smoking? And another thing about Strax is he's not given a great deal to do in this story, and well, most of his scenes are with Vastra, and most of them involve her telling him to shut up and get on with your job. Okay, on the subject of Vastra, Niamh Macintosh, as per usual, does a good role at playing everyone's favourite Silurian. Well, I say everyone. But Vastra, she's never really been the same since A Good Man Goes to War. Remember back in The Snowmen? She got sucker punched by Dr. Simeon. That is pathetic. And in this story, Vastra, she isn't given much to do either, other than plan how they're going to find the Doctor, Um, she searches for one or two clues as well, like when she examines the venom in the mortuary. Then she and Jenny remove the venom from the rocket, and yeah, she just freaks people out just by looking at them. Which makes sense. I mean, how many lizard women do you see wandering around Victorian Yorkshire? But as many of you have noticed in this episode, the standout character here is Catherine Stewart as Jenny. I'm sensing a pattern here because in A Good Man Goes to War, Vastra was the standout character. In The Snowmen, it was Dan Starkey as Strax. And now it's Jenny's turn. And, well, quite frankly, she kicks ass in this story. And she hasn't really changed at all since A Good Man Goes to War. Okay, so we haven't had a great deal of character development, but in this story she shows she's a very, very capable ally, sneaking around the factory, finding clues, rescuing the Doctor as well. So yeah, top marks to Jenny. Heck, even the kiss scene after she saved the Doctor, I thought that was very well played out, because after that she just, well, bitch slaps the Doctor, saying, no, we're not going down that route. So I'm glad Mark Gatiss didn't forget about that. Yeah, and she's also, well, okay, Vastra did mention it as well, but she's the only person who keeps asking, why is Clara still alive? And she keeps asking the Doctor right up until the end, how is she still alive? Give me an answer. And of course the Doctor can't do that, so it's not just the Doctor who's at his wit's end with this girl. Saul Metzstein returns to direct this episode, and he's previously directed Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, A Town Called Mercy, and The Snowmen, so he's definitely very good at creating historic environments, and, well, variety is the spice of life here, definitely. The set for Sweetville, the factory town, that was at only just a few miles outside Cardiff, and the production team were able to build the entrance and everything. But they really did a good job. Okay, now let's talk about the villain, Dame Diana Rigg as Mrs. Gillyflower. What a performance! Dame Diana Rigg was the perfect actress to play Mrs. Gillyflower. She really gives the impression of this landlady who thinks nothing of experimenting on her own workers, even her own daughter, to create and preserve essentially what are the perfect human beings. She seals them in glass jars, for the love of God, and she thinks nothing of throwing rejects into the canal. So, absolutely brilliant performance by Dame Diana Rigg. And while we're on the subject, her actual daughter, Rachel Sterling, does a very, very good job as Ada. And you generally feel sorry for this character, because she's been scarred and blinded by her own mother, and after that her own mother doesn't care about her. She doesn't even want her anymore. Personally, I think the best moment of the episode is when the Doctor and Clara see her crying in the corner because she's been shunned by her own mother, and the only proper friend she ever had has gone, and, well, now the Doctor's just come back to talk to her and cheer her up and ask what her mother has planned. Oh yes, I haven't even talked about the Doctor yet. Yeah, like I said, he doesn't even show up till the 15-minute mark, and that gives us a good focus on what it's like for the Paternoster gang to fight crime and aliens while the Doctor isn't around. And I thought it was interesting to see those flashbacks played back like some sort of silent film. Matt Smith once again gives a great performance as the Doctor. I particularly like the bit where he and Clara put on their northern accents when they're trying to sneak into Sweetville. And Clara, well, she doesn't have a lot to do in this story either. But it was interesting at the end where she sees those pictures on the laptop to see what sort of impact she's had on the timelines. As for references to the classic series, we only really get one, and that was when the Doctor said, "I spent a long time trying to get a gobby Australian to Heathrow Airport," and then he says, "Braveheart Clara." That's obviously a mention to Tegan Jovanka from the 5th Doctor era. And, well, did I have any other problems with this story? Well, like I said, the production values were really good. Well, at least until you get to the rejects from the processing, the ones with the red skin. That didn't look convincing in the slightest. In fact, I think I've seen that makeup somewhere before. I also liked the rocket inside the factory chimney. Steampunk, eat your heart out. And I also liked the reveal of the actual monster behind this master plan. The leech thing, Mr. Sweet, as Mrs. Gillyflower called him. Yeah, when Vastra first said that she recognised the venom, I was thinking, okay, it's either going to be this leech thing, or it's going to be a Silurian who's using this venom to wipe out mankind. And to be honest, both of those could have worked. And when it's revealed that Mr. Sweet is actually one of the red leeches, I'm thinking, okay, that was very well done. It was very well revealed. So, long story short, what did I think of this story overall? Well, it was very good. This is the sort of story I'd wanted to see involving the Doctor and his Victorian gang for a long time. It was certainly better than the Snowmen was. And Mark Gatiss has pulled off a really good story here. First-rate acting all round. Definitely not perfect. I mean, the red corpses just looked hilarious. Strax and Vastra, I think they should have been given a bit more to do. And Clara, I'm actually relieved we didn't see so much of her this episode, because she's been the centre of attention for a lot of the stories, if not all of the stories thus far. But there was the occasional moment where I thought, hang on, that doesn't really work. And one of those was when the guy with the Doctor's image in his eye, when he falls into the Doctor's cell and the Doctor's image gets stuck in his eye. The problem with that is that Ada is essentially keeping the Doctor as her own little pet. So when that guy gets the Doctor's image in his eye and he collapses in the cell, who takes the corpse away and throws it into the canal? And why don't they do the same with the Doctor? But that's just a nitpick against what is essentially a very good story. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. So I'll see you guys next time for my next review, and provided I've got time, that review is going to be Nightmare in Silver. See you there.